Hey, good morning. My name's Dan, and I want to leave a review about AZ Move Masters. I am not being paid to do this review. I just had a 5-star through and through great experience with them. But before I tell you about AZ Move Masters, let me tell you about the last time we moved with a different company. We were moving from an apartment into a house, and the movers were over 6 hours late, which necessarily meant we were up into the middle of the night with both sets of our parents. Waiting around basically for the truck all day. You know, we had friends who were there ready to help us, and they just were stuck waiting in an empty house because the movers didn't show up. The movers finally did show up at the apartment. Stuff got broken. We couldn't clean the apartment because they were late. The truck took detours and whatever. And so, anyway, we ended up paying for mileage on the truck, which was super pricey, boxing and materials and all that stuff, which was super pricey, and prices just kept adding up. So then when we were moving from the last house to this house, we had to do, again, the shuffle to an apartment because this house wasn't built yet. And what we ended up doing was going with pods, where we moved stuff into pods, like little piecemeal here and there, but we had a brand new baby, so we hired a different moving company who was near where we were, or near the old house, I should say. And they, same thing, where they showed up at least on time, but there was like 5 or 6 people who showed up, which we had talked about. And my wife and I were like, a couple of them were working, but then we go up to help here and there, and like some of the movers just were like on their phone. They were just messing around, not actually moving, or it took forever to empty like the guest bedroom that hardly had anything in it. All said and done, we were expecting to spend somewhere around $2,000 to $2,500 with supplies, with their mileage, with all the other surprise charges that came up, charging us an insane amount for packing blankets, charging astronomical rates for a cardboard box, all that sort of thing. We spent over $4,200 with just packing up the house and putting it into pods. Obviously, then we had the expensive pods on top of it. We had 3 pods and all that. But like that $4,000 something expense was not fun to pay. And of course, they don't tell you about that until the end. So we were like super hesitant when we were unpacking at the new place, and we were considering like, do we just do this ourselves? But again, brand new baby. I'm not as young as I used to be, so I really wanted other people to help with it at least. So we found AZ Move Masters. I talked to Hogan, and mind you, I talked to a lot of moving companies at this point, but something about Hogan was just, you know, friendly, straight to the point. No BS, and we booked 3 guys. We had the set time frame, and I told him, look, man, like this is our budget. I'm not paying you more than this. If you can do it, great. If not, you know, sayonara, we're not going to engage. What ended up happening was Hogan said, hey, you know what? Totally get it. We've heard this from other people. This is what we do. You give me a time frame. If your budget is, X amount of dollars, if you want to only spend $1,000, here's our hourly rate. It's fixed. Like, you pay for our time. We're going to unload, and then we'll send the guys home, you know, at that time, to just keep it within your budget. So that was the first thing I really appreciated. The second thing I appreciated is when the movers showed up, they were early. They were 3 guys who were, you know, like in college and actually like studying, and you know, had some really interesting conversation while we were moving. But the first thing that they did when I opened the door, and they said, hey, can we come in and see the house? Where's stuff going? That sort of thing. They unrolled like a carpet, like almost a red, it was blue, but you know, the idea of a red carpet, they unrolled this runner from our front door all the way to the back door, covered spots so our tile didn't get dirty. We had paper on the stairs, and they did their best to keep everything clean, which was very appreciated. Stuff did not get broken from them. They were very mindful. They hooked up our appliances that they moved in. They they moved a huge safe upstairs, and you know, positioned it exactly where we wanted it, and just did a fantastic job overall. I was also helping, and my dolly broke, and I couldn't use it anymore. The handle just like popped out. So I asked the guys from AZ Move Masters if I could do anything to help, if they had an extra dolly I could borrow, and, you know, expecting the answer is no, because most moving companies want to just charge you for their time. They don't want you helping because they get paid less. These guys gave me a dolly to use, so I ended up helping unload some of the pods. And granted, I didn't do nearly as much as they did, but helped with some boxes here and there to at least get things out of the pods and help put it roughly where it went. So overall, fantastic experience. And then when we were coming up on the time, we looked and we're like, what's the chance that we're going to move the heavy stuff in the pod on our own? Because the way it was packed, Move Masters emptied the first half, and then the back half was like all the heavy furniture stuff. And my wife and I both were like, this isn't realistic for us to do it. We can spend an extra hour or so. So I called Hogan. I said, hey, I just wanted to make sure, is this fine if we do this? Is there a problem with the guy staying? And he said, you know what? They're there as long as you need them. Go ahead and just, tell them what you need. Tell me so we can make sure the billing is correct, and then we'll go from there. So we did that. We added an hour. We ended up adding, I think, a second hour. But it was nice because it's like you're actually able to do the math in your head of how much exactly am I spending? What does this financial commitment look like? And really, the guys took direction great. We had our priorities of get this piece of furniture in, get this piece in, then do this, right? But we didn't know what was in which pod. So the guys on scene were really, or on site, I should say, were really fantastic about taking the direction and just shifting focus entirely from one pod to the next as we saw things that we wanted placed first. And overall, really, really good experience. They were very clean. They were very mindful. I would definitely recommend AZ Move Masters, and I hope this review helps. It does not have to be a painful process to move, as we found out. I just wish we'd found out about AZ Move Masters about 3 years ago.